City Lanes.
Mackie.
And on Lines Wide World of Sports, we welcome you back to the Logan City Lanes, just to the south of Brisbane, for the continuation of the 1986 Coca-Cola Classic and the second match of the women's series. And for the first time, we feature Carol Gionotti of Western Australia. Carol, I know you've had an injury of recent times, which has kept you away from bowling. What was the problem? I
was just bowling too much. With the pitches on my ball, my thumb had just split it really bad. Got infected underneath, had to give it away for a month.
All right.
And I hope it stays like that now.
Well, since the couple of weeks you've been back bowling, how's the form been?
Oh, not too bad. I'll get there.
At 19 years of age, Carol Gionotti of Western Australia is one of the country's most promising young bowlers. She has a high game of 267, 6 times has been in the state Western Australian junior team and twice in the Western Australian senior team. She was in the Asian Zone Championships for seniors this year and represented in the junior division back in 1985. Leanne, I know you had a few nerves going into that opening game. Do you feel any better having got that one under your belt?
No, I think I feel worse, actually. No. Not really. Yeah, I do feel a bit better.
Well, you bowled well in that first game, even though you were up against someone who was expected to beat you in Ruth Gerster, but you went extremely well.
I think with the one game, it's really cutthroat and it's who gets the breaks.
Leanne Moyle comes from Tigerham in Queensland. She has a high game to her credit of 278. Back in 1983, took out the Women's Adelaide Cup and the Southern Cross Cup. Also in that same year, she was a member of the Australian team in the World Championships in Venezuela, and in 1984 was a member of the Australian team in the Asian Championships in Singapore, and has represented the Queensland side from 1982 through to 1985.
Well, the second match now in the ladies section of the Coca-Cola Goldpin Classic for 1986, and it's the last start winner, Leanne Moyle, who disposed of Tasmania's Ruth Gerster. She's up in the first frame on lane 11. And her opponent, Carol Gionotti of Western Australia. Good push away there. But we saw her do that a few times last week, a little bit eager to get rid of the ball, John McCoy.
Yes, certainly, Steve, although she should be able to pick up a spare from this position.
Yes, 3 pins clustered in the corner. And you see the ball there going left, which is why she left those 3. The pin numbers on those 3 pins, the 6, 9 and 10. But she needs good accuracy here. She's moving left, not all the way left on the approach, but a fair way left. Give the ball plenty of room right across that 42-inch wide lane. Only just made it, though, that 9 pin just falling sideways.
Let's have a look at the style of Leanne Moyle.
Yes, excellent. Good follow-through.
So Carol Gianotti on lane 12. And not the sort of start that she would have been looking for, perhaps just a little nervous. I think this is her first time that she's been in a televised tournament.
Yes, for such a young, accomplished bowler, she's been overseas and so on. She's been in a few sports news type programs, but never in a televised match as such. And of course, the nerves will be there, the heart fluttering a bit, and not a good start for her either. Nasty cluster of 5 pins to go for.
And she'll feel better after picking up that spare. She had to do it the hard way.
Yes, well, it's all even in the first round. Let's have a look at that. That's the perfect placement for that particular spare to the left of the pin numbers 2 and 5. The ball hit the 2 pin and the 4 pin and took care of that spare.
So Carol Gianotti now moves over to bowl on lane 11.
Nice push away. Got that out a little bit on the lane, but she seems to be laying the ball short. She was laying it short in practice. By that I mean she was getting rid of the ball without throwing it out on the lane. And the result, of course, will be a ball that turns a lot at the end. And that's what happened then. It jumped up at the pins.
And again picks up the spare.
Well, match play style, they're bowling 2 frames at a time, and then the opponent sits in the playing area and waits to see what the story is. And that will also be unusual for Carol, because usually in regular tournaments, the girls just get up 1 at a time and bowl all the time across the lanes. Well, let's see how that one is. Oh, boy. That was extremely bad luck.
which means at the end of the first frame, a 1-pin lead to Leanne Moyle, 19-18.
Oh, and you don't throw much of a stronger ball than that. That ball jumped to the left. Normally the ball would deflect to the right and, of course, take that 9-pin out, and that's as cold a wrap as we're likely to see in the whole program. A cold 9-pin by Leanne Moyle. Well, it's given her a 1-pin lead, as you said, John, but it could have well been 2 pins. A little bit out of balance there when she let the ball go, and she knows it. In fact, so far out of balance, she got out of it so quickly that that ball almost didn't make it up to the pins. Leanne's coach is Barbara Richmond, who just happens to be the top seed for this program. Barbara of Queensland averaged 196 in the special qualifying tournament, and she's sitting around waiting to see if she'll bowl her charge, Leanne Moyle, in the finals.
Well, that's exactly what Leanne was looking for. The first strike of the match.
And there's the good follow-through that we've seen so often from Leanne Moyle, producing a strike for her.
Western Australia's Carol Gionotti. So the strike by Leanne Moyle is answered immediately by Carol.
While everyone else...
Oh, beautifully bowled.
Yes, excellent. John, isn't she? I don't think you would have seen too many 19-year-old bowlers, men or women, that are as solid at the line. An excellent, strong ball. Likes to ride the ball, get rid of a bit of that pent-up emotion. And, of course, that's now 3 strikes in a row, a turkey for Carol Gianotti.
She's starting to take control of this game, the young Western Australian, and bowling extremely well.
Yes, that was a good shot again. Could well have been 4 strikes in a row, but left the 10-pin. Let's see if we can see why. Yes, not quite the penetrating power of those previous 3 shots, but a handy leader now. 20 pins the difference in the 4th frame. 77 for Leanne Moyle, 97 for Gianotti, going for this corner pin.
And takes it with consummate ease. So when the 4th frame was completed, 20 pins was the lead for Western Australia's Carol Gionotti.
Well, Queenslanders, if Leanne does go down in this game, still have Joan Lepp, Jo Ellen Day, Bev Jamieson, Mary Flower and Barbara Richmond on their side to cheer for. And with a shot like that and the one before, Leanne's now in a little bit of trouble, putting herself under pressure at this stage, trying to pull the ball higher. And both times leaving corner pins, the 2 to go for. 95 plays 117, 22 the difference. Certainly an object lesson, John, in picking up your spares. We haven't seen too many open frames by the ladies yet.
She's certainly picking up the spares, but I'm sure she'll be a little bit disappointed with that it has been the spares she's had to pick up and not the strikes.
Well, against Gerster, she only had 4 strikes, and the rest were spares for a clean game of 201, and now she's bowling at a 195 pace, but Gianotti bowling at a 217 pace. She's going to have to find some strikes and probably start now.
And she has. Well bowled, Leanne Moyle.
It certainly was. You don't get them any deeper in the pocket than that. That ball, very impressive when it hits the pins because it's coming in from such a wide angle. We're back with Gianotti now.
And that makes for a very difficult spare.
Well, that's an impossible spare. She really pulled it high and didn't break them up very much. And the look of despair on Carol Gianotti's face. Had the match well in hand there, 20 pins ahead in the 6th frame, but she'll cut that lead now to about 10 pins or maybe even less. Like 19-year-old Carol's an audit clerk hoping to count up a few more strikes in these next couple of frames, I guess. And she comes from a very keen bowling family. Mother Jan had the highest average in the Rockway tournament recently, 201, and Father Bruno, also now an open play bowler. I wasn't game to say anything there in case that last pin fell. It certainly looked like it could. There was things jumping around all over the place there, but she'd be happy with that 9 count. The situation now is that Moyle can take the lead if she gets 2 strikes on her next 2 visits to 11 and 12.
Oh, and that could be a very costly mistake for Carol, and she shakes her head in disbelief. It's another open frame.
Very tentative when she let the ball go, and it showed. She pulled it left and can't believe it. 2 open frames. Well, this gives Moyle quite a handy bit of breathing space.
Oh, that's exactly the comeback that Leanne Moyle needed. Well, she had the pressure back on herself and she responded, but she was given that breathing space by Carol Gionotti, who seemingly had the game within her keeping and has then let her opponent off the hook.
Well and truly off the hook. She could well be about 20 pins in arrears herself now. What a fickle game 10-pin bowling can be. 20 pins ahead in the 6th and perhaps 20 pins behind in the 8th. Looking for 3.
Should give a little trouble, though, to pick up the spare.
And if it is a spare, that'll be 11 pins ahead for Leanne Moyle, giving Queensland new hope in this match when it looked like they were gone.
Quite an amazing turnaround, really, and Carol Gianotti sitting back there with her head bowed, realising that it's been the problems all of her making.
Yeah, she's got nobody to blame but herself, and that's the tough mental game that you need to develop in 10-pin bowling for situations just like young Carol's facing right now. Well, a big time for her now in lane 12.
She was 9 behind at the end of the 8th. She looks up to the heavens, thankfully for that strike. It was a lucky one.
Let's have a look at it again, right on the nose, and will the 10-pin go? It did, but only just, and Carol blowing the hair away from her eyes there. Leanne Moyle, incidentally, while that ball was going down, didn't look at it. She didn't know what happened till the crowd went up. Needs a double, needs a strike. Oh, tough break. Yeah, that was a good shot, and that's twice now she's left a 10-pin on lane 11. The first time, of course, costing her 4 strikes in a row and would have changed the whole complexion of the game. Almost a copybook shot of that one of hers in the 6th. Well, she certainly needs this spare. If she doesn't get the spare, Leanne wins in any case.
She gets it.
She's still alive and needs a strike to have a 193, which is ironically the losing game of Ruth Gerster in our first women's match. Gianotti qualified in 8th place of the 10 bowlers in the women's division with a 189 average, so she's going to average around about that again in this game. Ooh, not a good count. Only 7, but that's a 190 game. And it's up now to Leanne Moyle to win. She needs a spare or a strike to win. Anything less than that, and she's in danger of losing this match.
And a look of despair on Carol Gianotti, knowing that this game was simply hers for the taking. She was 20 pins in front at one stage. Oh, it'll fall at the last moment. Well, the luck goes with the Queenslander Leanne Moyle.
Oh boy, what a strike that was. Let's have a look at this. She was all out of balance at the foul line, and let's have another look. It turned all the way around and only just hit it with the knob of the pin before the machine jumped it. Well, you can be lucky, and she was really eager to get rid of that ball. It was like a hot potato to her. And look what she's left now. The most impossible split in the game. Well, it'll be a 203 game, so that's 2 200s to her and full marks to her. She comes up against the defending champion, Cheryl Munson, in her next match.
Well, certainly Leanne Moyle's confidence will be boosted by 2 wins over Ruth Gerster and now over Carol Gionotti.
Keeping the home fires burning.
And she simply takes the 1 pin out. That's all she was able to do. But that's all she had to do. 203 to 190, the result, and the second victory of the women's tournament to Queensland's Leanne Moyle over Carol Gionotti. The end of the 6th, and what happened?
I don't know. I just lost it altogether. Couldn't get a break. That's the way it goes.
Well, commiserations, but there's your check for finishing in 9th position.
Thank you very
nice
much.
to have had you with us.
Thank you very much.
And our winner, again from Queensland, Leanne Moyle. Leanne, that was a great fighting comeback.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky. Carol was really unfortunate to leave a few tens, and feel very lucky to get out of that game.
Well, in fact, the next match on our Coca-Cola Classic will be another women's game, and it's going to be between Leanne Moyle, and she comes up against the defending champion, Cheryl Munson of New South Wales. That'll be a great match. Look forward to having your